Good day and welcome to Mahindra Logistics Limited Q4 and FY20 earnings conference call. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Shogun Jain from SGA for his opening comments. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Mahindra Logistics Q4FY20 earnings conference call. We have with us Mr. Ram Praveen Swaminathan, Managing Director and CEO, and Mr. Yogesh Patel, CFO of the company. I hope everyone got an opportunity to go through our financial results and investor presentation, which has been uploaded on company's website and stock exchanges. We will begin the call with opening remarks from the management, following which we will open the forum for question and answer. Before we start, I would like to point out that some statements made in today's call may be forward-looking in nature, and a disclaimer to this effect has been included in the earnings presentation shared with you earlier. I would now like to invite Mr. Ram, Managing Director and CEO of Mahindra Logistics Limited, to give his opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shogun. Good evening, everyone. I trust all of you and your colleagues and dear ones are all well and keeping safe in these challenging times. And I hope you all have had a chance to review our results and the presentation thereof by now. I'll begin my remarks by giving a quick update on the COVID-19 impact on our industry and our initiatives and strategies to tackle the same, following which I will talk a little bit about how we see in markets, our performance in the first quarter, and also a short update on how our strategy execution is moving. I'm sure all of you are already aware of the growing impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. With the total number of cases in India now exceeding 1 lakh, the spread is pretty unprecedented, and the government is has been taking all necessary steps to face the challenges presented by the pandemic. The national lockdown from 25th of March has had a large impact on the economy, as you all can guess. And I think it will be some time before we can fully measure its impact. The pandemic has severely disrupted the demand side and supply side. The effects of the lockdown which is seen across the economy, with sectors like tourism, hospitality, and aviation being the most affected sectors, followed by others such as retail and auto as well. On the supply side, with the lockdown in place, the manufacturing sector as well as the service sector were both shut down as per government directives to prevent further spread of the COVID-19 virus. As you can imagine, this has led to disruption in production schedules of the companies and impacted the overall business environment. International trade has also been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen a fairly significant impact on cross-border movement, and especially imports from the Far East. The lockdown has also resulted in significant challenges for migrant laborers and workers across industries. And as all of you have noted, there's been a wide migration of these resources. In the last few days, with the easing of the lockdown, many of the sectors are resuming operations based on various directives issued by the central and state government. Where the government has designated green, orange, and red zones across the country. And with lockdown restrictions being eased in some parts of the country, economic activity is freeing up, but it's still not normalized because different parts of India are in different levels of lockdown. Based on the current situation with regards to the number of cases of the virus across the country, obviously there are still many critical regions which are where the lockdown has been extended, and that has a continuing impact. At Mahindra Logistics, we have been adhering to the guidelines stipulated by the central, state, and local governing authorities and ensured safety measures and well-being of all our employees and families well before the lockdown was announced. They have initiated work and actions in early March, a couple of weeks before the official lockdown, and have reduced staff strength across our offices and launched actions across all our sites. We have been very mindful of the safety and security of all our employees, and that has been of utmost priority to us. We have implemented various measures and have been able to ensure that our facilities are safe and secure. We started ensuring appropriate usage of hygiene factors, masks, sanitizers, as a standard operating procedure in February this year. We have also initiated actions to implement social distancing and re-engineer processes in our warehouses and our transport operations. We implemented work from home for all our office facilities, and before the lockdown, it's helped establish infrastructure support for all our employees working from home. Through the lockdown, we have continued to maintain sanitization procedures in all our facilities. We've been fumigating and sanitizing operational sites, especially the ones which are supporting essential services. We have been using this lockdown period to do a variety of things for our employees and keep them engaged. We have invested in creating virtual workspaces so our employees could be continuing to work effectively and have been able to provide robust support for them. Beyond work, from an overall perspective, we also launched a helpline to support our employees, drivers in our network, and other business partner resources. We have been working on various systems and programs in our broader ecosystem. We have launched 3 emergency cab services, driver relief programs, and assistance programs under our SOAP initiative. As we start ramping up, there will be a huge focus on return to work. We have defined very specific and sharp protocols for both our supply chain and enterprise mobility sites, operations, and employees. As we start ramping up facilities, and there's a huge amount of leadership engagement to ensure that we are doing the right things the right way, in the right time for all our employees. In terms of broader impact, in the initial phase of the lockdown, through though the movement of goods for essential services was announced, there was a lack of clarity, and clarity came down to field level in phases. Due to this, lakhs of vehicles were standing on the road, and drivers are finding it difficult to move themselves in the goods to a safe and secure location. We launched a national program to actually ensure that all our vehicles which are stranded then move to safe locations. And within a week of the lockdown, we are able to move more than 95% of trucks which we are using from our partners to safe and secure locations in our network. Even today, probably 40 to 45% of vehicles do not have drivers. Obviously, the progression of the lockdown, many drivers have handed over assets to us and have moved on, trying to travel back to their home locations. And that is a challenge for us. The other challenge is the movement of migrant laborers. As you can imagine, and you are noted, a lot of labor has moved back, tried to move back to home locations. At Mahindra Logistics, we have been taking safety precautions. We have ensured full salary for contract resources during the lockdown period, and we have stayed in very active communication and engagement with our business partners and through their resources as well through the lockdown. And we hope that will have a positive bearing on us as we start ramping up operations. With a huge impact in scale of operations, obviously smaller transporters continue to see further distress, and this could probably accelerate some consolidation in the industry in the coming months. The lockdown is frozen supply chains across multiple sectors, both in production and stockpiling. Since the initiation of lockdown, we continue our operations at low capacities, essentially focused on essential commodities. These restrictions have also limited transactions in the growth-oriented e-com sector. For us, a lot of work which we are doing in e-com is around electronics, heavy and bulky products, and obviously all of those were stopped because they are not essential products. However, once the lockdown starts being released, we expect that e-com will actually be a significant beneficiary as there will be more move towards digitized marketplaces. And we expect that will actually see long-term growth. We also expect that FMCG, pharmaceuticals, and related sectors and product lines will start seeing growth, and there will also be an increased demand for additional warehousing spaces. Let me now just talk quickly about our end-use sectors, which obviously have their bearing on our performance in the last quarter and more recently now. The COVID-19, moving on to auto, obviously there's been a significant impact in the auto industry. The auto industry was already under significant pressure during most of the last financial year. And COVID kind of accelerated that challenge. In many ways, the impact for the auto sector started actually in February when China was the first outbreaks of COVID-19 and significantly shut down operations in China. And that, since a lot of components and supply chains traced back to China, that has had a significant impact on the sector. CM, amidst the lockdown, estimated that plant closures of OEMs and component makers would lead to a loss of more than 2,300 crores of turnover for each lost day of operation. So it's been a fairly significant challenge. It's also been an impact in March because of the transition from BS4 to BS6. And obviously that is a March cutoff, which also I think was an additional challenge the sectors had to face. Now, after a month and a half, obviously the sector started receiving permissions from the state and center, and we are seeing a slow and gradual speed up in operations in all our OEM customers. It's some distance from normalcy, but we are, I think, seeing that coming back. We're keeping in line SOPs and guidelines made by the center and state government. There is a consistent effort which we are partnering with many of our customers on, in ensuring that they are working and implementing safety norms, including social distancing, sanitizing, and various other measures as our customers start ramping up operations. Before COVID-19, I think we were expecting some meaningful recovery by the end of H1 of 2021, but we now believe that this will be pushed later towards the calendar year, and that's assuming the COVID-19 situation starts normalizing and there are no further significant outbreaks in the coming couple of months. On the farm side, I think there's reason for a lot more optimism. Obviously, there's a stronger monsoon crop, and I know many of the initiatives introduced by the government, in terms of bringing early permissions during lockdown, adequate economic measures, and recent announcements that are finance minister, I think augur well for the farm sector, and we hope that we will actually see a stronger and faster recovery in the ag and farm sector. Moving to e-com, I think broadly said, as I stated earlier, I think this is a challenging period as only essential products were allowed, and a lot of supply chains of non-essential products have been shut down. It was a particularly challenging period because to some extent supply chains are common, and there's a lot of confusion on the ground, with many local administration on drawing the line in essential and non-essential products just sold through marketplaces and managed through common supply chains. So while there has been a challenging period right through the lockdown, and as I said earlier, I think as we come out of the lockdown, we believe that there is a fundamental acceleration to shift towards e-commerce platforms. And there will be an opportunity for 3PLs to partner more with e-com companies to drive better efficiency and a greater spread of their operations across the country. In the short term, there will be some impact on discretionary purchases, but we expect this to recover probably in a quarter's time, and we also see strong growth, obviously, in essential products and food items as malls and shopping complexes remain closed in the short term. So it's been a mixed bag, but we do expect broad recovery to definitely happen within the first quarter, and in line for the main festive season of the year. Even consumer and pharma, obviously, again, there's been some level of impact. The COVID-19 spread did impact business from mid-March, which of course was a slow creep down and then eventually shutdown of operations post the lockdown. But obviously, many sites have remained open, because they are in essential services, and as the clarity emerged in essential and non-essential, operations started picking up in a staggered way. We have been making, we have had several sites open in this vertical through the lockdown, and we've been providing support on essential product categories, though they have been operating at much lower levels of utilization. Through the year, we have made strong headroom in the consumer and pharma vertical. We've been deepening our capabilities. and growing our business here at a pretty robust rate. And going forward, we expect that this will continue to be there. There will be some transition impact, we believe, in this in the early part of next quarter, through the early part of next quarter, but we expect that should reset itself. The only segment I think there's a larger challenge about is around retail, which we expect maybe see a deeper impact, especially as especially shopping complexes, malls, all shut down for a protracted period of time. For us, it's a key market. We have been growing, as I mentioned earlier. We continue to expand our customer base and also increase our share of wallet with existing customers. So with that, the broad outlook on our end market, let me just talk about the financial performance for the quarter ended and the year ended March 31st, 2020. So all of the noted revenues for the quarter decreased to rupees 812 crores from rupees 1,015 crores for the same period last year, down by 20%. For the quarter, revenue was impacted by a decline in auto sector revenues, a year-on-year reduction in revenues from the bulk segment, and a loss of share, and some impact of COVID. The reduction in bulk has been a continuing impact of the loss of share we had in a large account at the end of 2018-19. We have referred to that in a couple of earlier earnings calls as well. And obviously, last year Q4 was a particularly strong quarter in that volume from that customer. So we had a larger impact of that. For the full year ended 31st March 2020, revenues stood at rupees 3,471 crores. Revenues from SCM contributed to 89.4%, and enterprise mobility contributed 10.6% of revenues for the full year. Our gross margins adjusted for Ind AS 116 for Q4FY20 stood at 10.4% as compared to 8.8% in Q419, an increase of 160 basis points. Gross margins for the full year stood at 10.1%. EBITDA on a pre-Ind AS basis was 2.8% for the quarter. EBITDA was, of course, impacted, as I said earlier, by lower volume from M&M and the COVID-19 impact. COVID-19 impact. COVID-19 had an impact on Q4 both in terms of revenues and profits. We did see an impact on our enterprise mobility business and our consumer business before the national lockdown, especially the mobility business, as many customers implemented work from home. We also saw an impact on the supply chain business in the last week of the month after the national lockdown was implemented. For the quarter, overall COVID-19 has 7 to 8% impact on our overall revenues for the quarter. EBITDA for the quarter stood at rupees 41 crores, and for the full year ended March 2020 stood at rupees 172 crores, with an EBITDA margin of 5% adjusted for Ind AS 116. EBITDA margins pre-Ind AS 116 were at 3.3% for FY20. Adjusted EBITDA for the ESOP and RSU charge stood at rupees 42 crores in Q4 FY20 and rupees 184 in Q4 FY20 and rupees 184 crores for the full year FY20. PBT was down 39.2% from rupees 133 crores in FY19 to rupees 81 crores in FY20. On an annual basis, the decline in PBT was driven by a drop in volume, dominantly from the auto sector, impact of the AS 116 change, and ESOP and RSU charge. For the full year, we had negative impact of rupees 5.5 crores in PBT on account of the Ind AS 116 transition. If we negate the impact of the Ind AS 116 charge of rupees 5.5 crores and ESOP and RSU charge of rupees 12 crores, our operating PBT on a comparable basis for FY20 stood at 98.6 crores as compared to rupees 139.1 crores in FY19, down 29.1%. PAT was down by 36.5% to rupees 55 crores in FY20, and PAT margins for the full year stood at 1.6%. PAT adjusted for the RSU charge was down by 30%, from rupees 90 crores in FY19 to rupees 63 crores in FY20. Impact of the accounting standard change, increase in gross margin and EBITDA by rupees 15.3 crores and rupees 18.6 crores, and a decrease in PBIT by rupees 0.5 crores in Q4FY20. For FY20, impact of the accounting standard was an increase in gross margin and EBITDA by 49 and rupees 56.4 crores respectively. PBT declined by rupees 5.5 crores on account of the impact of India's for FY20. For the full year, proportion of Mahindra Group revenues comprised were at 51% compared to 56.1% in FY19. In terms of segmental revenues from supply chain were reduced from rupees 10,466 crores in FY19 to rupees 3,104 crores. And enterprise mobility declined by 5%, to rupees 368 crores in FY20. SCM revenue was impacted due to continued slowdown witnessed in the auto industry, and the auto vertical, both M&M and non-M&M, are still dominant verticals for us in supply chain management. That was partially negated by the growth in our consumer, pharma, and e-commerce verticals. Our revenue from the Mahindra Group supply chain business decreased from rupees 2,102 crores in FY19 to rupees 1,729 crores in FY20, largely, as you know, due to the slowdown which I've already referred to. Our non-M&M SCM business grew marginally from 1,364 crores in FY19 to 1,374 crores in FY20. Underlying this movement was the shrinkage in our bulk business, which I said earlier dipped significantly due to the loss of share of volume in a large customer. But that was offset by strong growth in e-com, consumer, pharma, telecom, and freight forwarding businesses, which grew despite the slowdown in the auto industry through the year. These verticals have already grown at 20 to 30%. Our e-commerce, consumer, and pharma verticals grew by upwards of 25%. They actually grew at 26.5 and 29.6% respectively. Growth in e-commerce and consumer are driven due to deeper penetration of existing customers, providing them more solutions and integrated services, from Mahindra Logistics. Our warehousing and value-added services for the non-M&M SCM business, which is a part of our focus area, has grown from rupees 351 crores in FY19 to rupees 436 crores in FY20, registering a growth of 24% for the full year. Share of warehousing and value-added services in the non-M&M SCM period grew significantly and has reached 31.7% in FY20 compared to 25.8% in FY19. As all of you have noticed, our cash and cash equivalents at the end of March 2020 stood at 99.5 crores. Despite the challenges of the COVID-19 impact towards the end of the quarter, we have been able to control costs and managing our cash flows for the period. We have also taken a board approval for raising funds up to the additional funds up to the tune of rupees 250 crores, which has not yet been activated and utilized. This has been taken as a precautionary measure to ensure a safety net to our operations in the event of a prolonged and unforeseen effect of COVID-19 and uncertainty of operations and delays in returning to full normalcy. At this stage, we, as I said, we do have a strong balance of cash and cash equivalents, and we have drawdown limits which we have already not utilized. Without considering the additional approval of rupees 250 crores. Before I open up for comments, let me briefly talk also about our progress on strategy execution and the immediate environment we are in. During the year, we have remained focused on our key strategic platforms despite the headwinds we have had in the auto industry. Our focus on solutions has helped us grow our warehousing and value-added services. We have deepened our focus by launching new solutions such as returns processing, pop-up stock centers, and integrated distribution services. These are evident in our continued growth in value-added services and in e-commerce and consumer segments. We also started a deep focus on operational excellence with structured programs to reduce cost, increase operational productivity, and streamline our warehousing footprint. The focus of these initiatives and the focus on them has helped us mitigate the impact of the volume drop in auto and engineering verticals and kind of manage our costs more efficiently. We've also invested in expanding our offerings in freight forwarding and express. That during the year we've expanded our freight forwarding business, strengthening both our air and sea forwarding locations, both towards East Asia and Europe and North America. We've also expanded our express capability. We now provide surface and air coverage to over 12,000 pin codes across India. In the mobility business, we have been developing our on-call business with express enterprise customers and deepened our offering there. Strategically, we continue to expand our IT systems and enhance their automation capabilities. We now have integrated various solutions such as AGVs, drones, and IoT systems into our offerings to our customers. We are currently upgrading our SAP ERP system, which will be live in Q1 2021, and enhancing our transport management systems as well. Our continuing asset-light strategy has helped us manage volatility and variability across the business, and we remain committed to that direction across all parts of all our verticals. In the fourth quarter, we have added several new customers, and while COVID-19 remains a large part of everyone's mind share, we did add some accounts and expand our presence with new offerings in e-commerce. We are also building deeper solutions in areas such as grocery and pharma offerings in the e-com space. So we have expanded business during that period. Lastly, as I look at the year, I think I also want to comment about Mahindra Logistics and our contribution beyond just beyond business results. We have a proud heritage and focus on ESG in our communities. During the year, our employees continue to invest in our communities with a 63% growth in ESOPs on employee social options, and launch of several new programs like Zero Accident Zone. We also expand our training programs under the PMKVY umbrella from drivers to warehouse operators. Last year we had covered more than 10,000 drivers. This year we covered more than 7,500 drivers and warehouse operators. This remains a core part of our purpose and is a focus for me and my colleagues in the leadership team and our team members as a whole. Before I close off, I think we live in challenging times, and obviously national lockdown has had a significant impact on our business. As we have looked beyond COVID-19 and we looked how to managing it, we have been focused on 4 key priorities: ensuring safety, continue to provide essential services, conserving cash and liquidity, and driving improvement in engagement. Through this period, I'm very proud of all our employees and resilience, which we are responding in uncertain times. And we are working very closely with our customers in ramping up our operations. Strong monsoon, improving rural demand, and reforms announced by the government augur well for the farm sector. As mentioned earlier, I'm also confident that we will see recovery from other verticals such as e-com and consumer and pharma, where we are investing strongly focused on growing our business. In the short term, there will be supply challenges as well due to lack of drivers, standard fleets, and labor availability, and we are working on overcoming these. So while we will have short-term challenges, we remain confident about our continued focus on executing our strategy and doing it customers and partners over the medium to long term. So with this, I'll open the floor for questions and answers.
Sure. Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask questions may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets for asking questions. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask questions, please press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Mukesh Saraf from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. I hope everyone is safe at your end, sir. So the first thing is just trying to understand the fixed costs, for the business. Could you give some sense on the freight side of it, on the trucking, on the trucks? How are our contracts with the vendors? Is it just based on usage, or you have a minimum guarantee? How are those structured, sir?
Yeah. So, Mukesh, I think dominantly all our contracts are pay as use. Okay. So obviously we have, based on the way contracts are customers, we have SLAs on replacement, vehicle safety, mobilization and so on, but our liabilities are all essentially capped based on usage only. Right? That's a dominant structure we have across our business.
Right. And with respect to retaining these truckers, is there say in the next couple of quarters, if the volumes go up, would there be any issue for us to get back these truckers or the vendors for us, or they would always be available for us?
No, I think, Mukesh, I would say that there are broad challenges which the industry is facing as a whole. This is not, and the challenges really are two, three things. The first one is, as I mentioned in my comments earlier, lakhs of vehicles are actually stranded on roads. Right. And they all have cargo on them. So the first thing which has to happen is these vehicles have to march back to their home location, to their destination location.
Right.
The second challenge is a driver challenge. This is a social, as much a social challenge as an economic one, because many drivers are also worried about COVID-19. Their families are worried. Many of them have already left to go back home, and even the ones who will come, they actually want to go back home, right? Once mobility is easily available. So the challenge, I think, so that's the second challenge. The third challenge is that since the lockdown is being relaxed in different ways and different patterns across India, in many cases there is no return. In many cases there is no return load. You could ship a vehicle, the products from point X to point Y, but there is no return load from point Y back to point X. Right. And so either vehicles get stranded or customers actually end up, or the price for customers ends up going up significantly. So these are therefore not a fundamental challenge of capacity available in the market. As you know, there are probably enough trucks available in the market, and even before COVID-19, demand was challenged, except for some seasonal peaks. There has been softness in the entire transportation sector. So this is not an underlying capacity problem. This is a very specific situational challenge we have. And it will take some period of time before we, as any industry, can work through this.
Right, understood. And sir, my second question is on the warehousing bit again. How are these contracts structured there? Are there some minimum guarantees for, say, build-to-suit warehouses, or do you kind of continue to pay the lease rentals? Or rather, if I put it this way, out of your 16 million square feet that you have, how much could be, where we are having a fixed lease rental payment, and how much could be where we have a minimum guarantee that the customer has given us?
So the way I look at this, the best way to look at this is from a customer-supplier matching perspective, right? So as you might have seen from earlier locations, almost all our warehousing space, a large number of it is custom and bespoke to individual customers.
Sure.
And all those contracts are typically back to back.
Sure.
So we have, if we have leased it to our customers as a solution for X number of years or months, we typically would have a back-to-back clause for the large part. There might be some minor deltas around it, but that's kind of the broad construct. And therefore, there is nothing which is white space. White space in our network is actually visible. Okay. Right? This is unsold or unutilized space. In the context of COVID-19, I think obviously, there have been no situations thus far where customers have pulled off on contracts and left us standard liabilities on leases with our suppliers.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So that way, it's not like a fixed cost for us that way.
No, really. And Yogesh will have some better quantification on monthly lease costs. Yogesh, anything you want to add?
No, just that you have covered rightfully, Mukesh. So, wherever only in a BTS, which is, under 1 million square feet right now, offset 16.3 million, where we have a lease term which would be disproportionate to customers, underlying customers' lease term or services agreement terms. But rest of it, all facility has a back-to-back arrangement with the customer tenure itself. So whatever fixed costs we have recovery of them as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yogesh.
Before we take the next question, we'd like to inform participants that in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, please limit your questions to 2 participants. Should you have a follow-up question, we request you to rejoin the queue. We take the next question from the line of Aditya Mongia from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi everyone. I had 2 questions. The first question was more on FY20 as regards to the way I see it through it, an year of investments for the company. So there obviously were investments made either in human resources or technology. It would be useful if you could kind of point to us as to which sectors were the ones which would have benefited. And the related question would be that now that we go inside FY21, are we actually better prepared to gain more in terms of customers and wallet share given our investments in 20?
Great question, Aditya, and I hope you're safe and well. So I'll try and answer both of them together because I think there is a correlation between them. We have made investments this year, right, in our technology and IT architecture. That's been one of the key areas we have made investments in. And those investments really have been on 3 dimensions. The first dimension really has been strengthening our core systems. And the objective there has been to drive productivity, improve, and continue to focus on high level of controls and governance. And those systems really relate to our financial materials management kind of ERP core, which is the one which is being launched. Actually, we're already live on it this quarter as we speak. And the second one is an upgrade on our HRMS system, which also is what we use to try and manage our contract resources. And therefore has a significant impact in productivity and cost. So that's been one lever of the investment happening. The second lever is what is an investment across our transport management, warehouse management, freight forwarding, and contract and resource management systems. And an upgrade to our telematics infrastructure. So those are 5, 6 areas where investments have been ongoing. And we have expanded, we have tried to move a lot of those to a web services architecture, which allows us to platform the service and the system, and allows us to add features and manage customer life cycles more efficiently. The focus there has also been trying to integrate across those systems. And there is, the different projects are in different levels of completion there. And it will be, I would say, under 18 to 24 months before the journey is completed fully. The third lever has essentially been around automation and integrating automation into our IT backbone. So that's where we've invested in things like autonomous guided vehicles, we've invested in IoT devices on shop floors, we've invested in things like automating our MHEs. We're also experimenting with usage of drones. We do some work on the QR code integration. So there's a lot of that kind of work which is happening of automating processes and integrating them into our IT backbone, so we can actually get more control over the edge of our physical processes. So those are 3 areas, I would say, that we've actually been making tech investments. I think each of them, as I said, they're all integrated towards getting done in 18 to 24 months. This should then provide us, I think, with a very strong competitive value proposition, because we would actually at an architectural level be able to not only provide great services in individual offerings, but also integrate them into and bring a solutions capability across these offerings. So through the year, we have made enhancements in different ones. So, as I said earlier, the SAP system did go live this quarter. On the finance side, we have made several upgrades to our transport management system, and we have several new launches which are still planned during the first half of this year. So that's where the money has been spent, to answer your question. In terms of bang for the buck, yes, I do believe that we are in a better shape than we were earlier. We are not exactly where all we want to be out of there, but obviously in a much better shape entering, I think, FY2021 than we were entering FY19-20. As you've consistently said, one of our focus areas, we're a wide provider of multiple services, right? We're on the transportation, warehousing side, on the value-added services side, and a key strategic direction for us is to integrate these services into custom bespoke solutions, which add a lot of value to our customers. Technology is a very key part of enabling that, especially in the distribution side. So this is really important and puts us in a good position to win the consumer and e-com space. There are a lot of solutions we give are actually on distributing products. Forward logistics for solutions. It helps us create solutions for cross-border logistics. So in that sense, I think we are in a better position than we were compared to a year ago, and I think we're in a better position because it's aligned to where we want to grow our business, especially in the environment we are in now. So let me stop there. I hope that helped cover your question.
Absolutely. If you count this as one, I can squeeze another one.
Yeah, go ahead.
See, you also mentioned another thing. So apologies, I ended the call late. The first thing I could hear was on consolidation, and you thinking that could actually happen in the sector in the near term. Just wanted to kind of get a sense from you as to how are you thinking about it from the perspective of MLL.
Yeah, at the Mahindra Logistics level, as I said later on in my comments, we are very committed to being an asset-light company this year. So in that sense, I think our focus is building strong partnerships. We are continuing to work closely with our supply base and our partners to ensure that we are doing the best for them to weather through these challenges. And we think consolidation will obviously provide an opportunity for us, given our skill in operations, to build probably new and deeper relationships on the supply side. On the demand side, obviously, I think the consolidation might help tighten pricing up a little bit, because obviously markets, the demand being very soft, there has been a very challenging pricing environment in some segments and markets. So hopefully it might actually play out, but it's hard to say that right now. I think there's probably likely to be more things will be on the supply side.
Got that. Those are my questions. I'll get back into the queue. Thank you for your response.
Thank you. The next question is from Ankur Periwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So continuing with the discussion that we were just having on the consolidation bit. Now, as I understand, the players who were largely focusing on in-house logistics, and I'm talking of maybe slightly bigger players here, medium and larger players, they were the most impacted because of this supply chain disruption overall. So incrementally, have we seen any maybe new queries or some ramp up across the FMCG or the essential customers that we were dealing with?
Yes, Ankur, I think it's a good question. And obviously, from a supply, in the current environment with disrupted supply chains, obviously we've had a fair number of inquiries which coming from a wide customer base. So to that extent, I'd say customer activity remains strong for both in terms of reactive, in terms of situational demand because of COVID-19 impact, as well as even more broadly. We are we are seeing inquiries in that sense. And yes, I think some of it is coming because of the challenges people have, in terms of their current vendors or their current in-house operation capabilities in managing the supply situation. We are obviously trying to take a balanced view. We want to kind of invest in our current relationships and expand and build those. Continue to tactically look at, at expanding new partnerships, but also do that, in a very cash and financially efficient way. So we are looking at those opportunities from all these three lenses.
Sure. And on the digital side, the initiative which you did mention, my understanding is that will help us further penetrate, into the client there in terms of the services offered as well as the distribution logistics part. But also from a working capital perspective, because if I remember it right, earlier we did plan, to improve our working capital as well and to restrict the number of days, the loss of days in between. So on that side also, have we seen improvement? Because, interestingly, our balance sheet has improved from a working capital perspective, despite these difficult times in this quarter. So just your thoughts there.
I'd ask you to have some thoughts on it as well. I would say our working capital this quarter has obviously, so from an IT perspective, yes, obviously, one of our big focuses on improving, especially on the transportation side, improving the speed at which we can move towards digital PODs of proof of deliveries and actually integrate our supply system also on the same basis. It would obviously provide benefits across the entire value chain, from our customers all the way to our suppliers, our sales included, and there have been initiatives this year around that. The adoption from customers and partners is still work in progress. Our improvement in Q4 essentially, I think, was just to some extent and a lot of good work on the Yogesh's team and all our business teams really in recognizing early on that the COVID-19 situation might create challenges for us from a working capital perspective. So we started working very closely both on the receivables and the payables side, on the trade receivables and payables side, especially from a working capital perspective. And I think we've seen improvement. We saw improvements in the third quarter, which kind of continued and consolidated itself in the fourth quarter. So, the first half of the year, we did see extension with the auto sector problems, but we started removing that in by the third quarter, and we saw that kind of really showing in stronger benefits in the fourth quarter. So a lot of it was not necessarily a digital initiative as much as just much more operational focus on the balance sheet items. Yogesh, would you like to add anything to what I said?
Yes, Ram. So, Ankush, while what Ram explained is absolutely right from, what we've been doing, and we've been, made significant progress there. From a working capital cycle for receivables, it also requires that our customers also accept that digital submission from our end. So that piece is what we were working with in parallel as well while we make our systems ready. An interesting thing to note is during this COVID disruption is when we are seeing, quite a bit of customers also, standing up and are ready to now accept or working with us, saying that, okay, how do we integrate our systems to make sure that, the document flow is digital going forward and not physical. So yes, keeping our systems ready helps to, get into the next conversation. And our progress will get aided by the acceptance levels from customers increasing also now.
Okay. Thank you.
Hopefully, yeah. So hopefully we'll see more traction this year than last year.
Yes. Sure, definitely. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankita Shah from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, I heard you saying that, there will be increasing demand for warehousing going forward. So, how much is the plan for the space addition for next year? And in that light, if you could throw some light on the CapEx plans in terms of investment in technology, warehousing, and acquisitions, if any. That will be my first question.
So Obviously on acquisitions, I don't have any specific guidance to give, right? It's not something which we do at all. So that's it into one. I think in terms of warehousing, as you said, the last couple of years, we have been in that 1.52 million square feet range a year, and and we remain focused on growing the warehousing space. The drivers for it, I think, have always been the same. It's been in the last couple of years, has been post GST consolidation, driving towards more larger and better warehouses, more integrated operations, and trying to provide solutions which bundle warehousing and distribution together, and doing more unique solutions like returns processing and so on. So what we see in the near term, from an industry perspective, obviously, is with larger growth of e-com marketplaces, and probably a restructuring of supply chains, greater demand for warehousing across many end sector supply chains. And that obviously not just the warehousing, but also will be logistics solutions. So to that extent, we think there will be a positive hangover on our business, and we are working towards it in line with our broader growth strategy. And obviously, we are not short of warehousing space from our own business perspective. We don't buy any of it, the land and the facilities, but we have very deep partnerships which put us in a very strong position there. In terms of in terms of capital spend, I think in terms of and I didn't fully understand that question. Could you just elaborate on what exactly you're asking?
Capital spend on capex spend basically on technology and warehousing.
Yeah. So I think I did some broad comments. I think Yogesh can add more specifics. So obviously on both those categories, on the software side, we in our new technology architecture, as I mentioned earlier on, when I think Aditya was asking the question, we are doing a web services architecture. So a lot of our software is actually software as a service. We don't really spend a lot of money upfront in buying more on-prem kind of solution infrastructure. It's something which I think I mentioned a couple of times earlier as well, but that's kind of the broad direction. So a lot of our expense is actually a development side. It's not really buying large suites of software. And the stacks basically are what we buy, and we essentially buy them as a service in most cases. We obviously buy server space, right, and so on from partners as well. On the warehousing side as well, a lot of our investment is really only inside the warehouse. So it's on automation systems, sorters, right, racks, MHEs. So that kind of investment which actually goes up. And obviously, as we do more of warehousing and value-added services, our capital spend will actually increase. But it is at a fairly productive level. We use we have clear hurdles of return for those projects, and all our investments are in line with that. In terms of specific amounts which we spent in FY 19-20, Yogesh, can you clarify that?
Yeah, so the capex spend in FY20 was around 66 crores. And that obviously has, correlation with, predominantly investment has been on the warehousing infrastructure and the insights. So the type of warehousing and the space which we lease would be the correlation. So, that becomes a link to what our spend for next year as well will be.
Sure. Okay. And how has been April and May months so far in terms of business in non-Mahindra side of the business? And what is the reason for growth in the subsidiary revenues in strong double digit? Probably I think it's the growth in the freight forwarding business that has come for the full year FY20.
Yeah. So let me talk about freight forwarding first. It's something which we are quite excited about. So obviously, we took a position or a majority position in this company some time ago. Last year was a challenging year for the business in FY 18-19, but 19-20 we have been able to come back to a strong growth trajectory, and that's been driven by three things. First one, as I said earlier on in my comments, we have expanded our offerings to cover more geographies. So we are doing more import and export now, especially to the Western Hemisphere, like Europe and the US. And that's been expanding our offerings there with the right partnerships has been a strong lever of growth. The second lever of growth has been, expanding our presence in the pharma segment, both in terms, I think the consumer and pharma segment, both of them. I think we are doing more work today in FMCG durables as well as in a very strategic inroad into the pharma side. And so that, I think, is the second big driver for us from a growth perspective. And the third one has been integrating the rest of our supply chain business with freight forwarding. So that has been a specific operating goal which we took on this year to drive much more integration at the front end and the solution level. So as I've said in earlier earnings calls, this year we've done more work on providing end-to-end cross-border solutions for customers. So whether it's on the import side, picking up from a location in China and using a combination of our freight forwarding and our domestic supply chain business to deliver to any customer location in India. Or similarly, originating from India and using integrated capabilities to deliver it somewhere in the Midwest US. Those solutions are things we're going to architect by using to freight forwarding and the other parts of 3PL capabilities together. And that's helped us increase share of wallet in many of our existing customers. Many of our existing SCM customers who are not really using freight forwarding from us, we've been able to gain penetration there. And those are factors that have driven our freight forwarding growth. In terms of, does that answer your question?
And the other part of how has been April and May months so far in terms of the non-Mahindra business?
Yes, April and May has been, as you can imagine, has been very tough. And at this stage it's hard. There's a lot of moving parts. We're still in mid-May, obviously, but there are a lot of moving parts through this quarter. The lockdown, as I mentioned, my comments has been quite severe. And for us, a large part of our business is also in the non-essential category. Even outside the M&M business, we do a lot of work in auto, and obviously e-commerce and consumer. And a fair number of our logos essentially are non-essential in nature. So to that extent, there's been an impact on our business. Even the sites which have been open, obviously, have seen much lower utilization levels. So April and May have been challenging for us on the non-M&M side. Our enterprise mobility also has been deeply impacted by the lockdown. I think that's started relaxing. I think we're obviously going through a period where supply chains are still disrupted. They're opening up, but they're still disrupted. So there's a lot of volatility still in volumes. So we have to see how the opening up stabilizes. But we are hopeful that we're hopeful that things will start stabilizing in the coming period.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manoj Baheti from Carnelian Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for taking my question. I have a couple of questions. First one is on the balance sheet side. Like if I see, though, yes, overall working capital, we can see the improvement. But in current situation, if I see like 522 crores kind of trade receivables, and we have around 617 crores of trade payables. So, what kind of risk assessment you have done on this 522 crores of trade receivable? Because trade payable is ultimately be required to be paid. Or is there anything out of this which is like first collect and then pay?
So Manoj, great. Thank you, Arthur, first of all, for doing that. And let me ask Yogesh to answer to the specifics of it, and then I will add or supplement his comments. Yogesh, you want to talk to our trade receivables and credit on that?
Absolutely, Ram. So Manoj, as you know, we have our entire business model itself of being choice of asset light, etc. The way we've conducted, we have traditionally managed to have our DSO and DPO, very much in a line too, based on the economics, environmental, as well as customer dynamics which we serve. So from that perspective, this risk which you refer to would be only if our receivables, which is outstanding, were of any diluted quality as such. This particular thing, obviously, otherwise too, this gets reviewed, audited externally as well. But because of onset of COVID and everybody was, more serious about what it would be from a asset quality perspective. So this has been, retested and reassured, by a couple of additional analysis and data points as well. We definitely do not see any disproportionate issue there. So it is just the way our business model is structured. We have those balances carried. Of amount what you see there, there would be the last few weeks of business which you would have done, plus the last week of March, since kind of offices got closed down, etc. You would have revenue which would have remained unbilled as such. So this would also be a reason why you would suddenly see that this amount has been there in a larger way. But from a quality of an asset perspective or a receivable perspective, this has been tested in a couple of different ways as well in addition, and there we do not see there is any risk from that perspective.
And Yogesh, how has been the experience in terms of collection in April and May? Because this 522 crores is a large amount. So just wanted to understand, yes, you might have tested it in terms of the past experience of the customer, but in terms of actual collection or getting some force majeure notice or some weak customers, so some kind of analysis on this 522 crores will be helpful.
No, absolutely. Which is what I was explaining, that couple of ways. Our external auditors did analyze and certify it as well. And from a April month perspective, if I were to let you know, the way we drove enough rigor internally in the system with all hands on the deck kind of thing. But we did reach our targeted collection for the month. What we would do so every month we kind of based on our opening date, what is falling due, etc. We draw up a plan. There is a target by business segment, by geography arrived at, and that target which we had lined up for April. We actually did a little bit better than that itself in April. So hence that kind of reassures us a little bit more.
Okay. I think what Yogesh said, we have maintained, I said earlier in my comments as well, that we had good balances at the end of March. We had open credit lines and we continue to avoid, we've been able to manage very comfortably within that. Our quality of receivables is very good. Obviously, a reasonable part of that is the Mahindra group companies themselves, but also in terms of some great other brands which are all very robust, solid, have great business practices. So we have gone and tested it, and the proof of the pudding is in eating, right? So obviously, April was in line with what we expect from receivables. So we feel pretty good about that part of the balance sheet for sure. So we do have PDBs which are, and this is well in cover on that.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Goyal from Enam Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just to get more clarification, you mentioned about the three broad challenges, like in terms of you still have some vehicles loaded and stranded on the highways, and also on the driver availability. So would it be possible to give some sense as to how has it evolved since the lockdown in the last week of March until now, in terms of if you can quantify the numbers, that how much of your vehicles are still stranded and what is the level of availability of drivers you probably have now, and then the third big challenge in terms of not having the enough return load. So being quite a complex situation for you, but if you can just dwell more on it.
Yeah, so I think starting, obviously, we did it first week after lockdown. We had, our focus was to get all the assets in the safe places. So we continued to march vehicles into what we call safety zones, which are designated, stockyards of ours or our partners across India. And we were able to successfully do that, and less than 8 or 9% of all our vehicles were still probably dhabas or petrol pumps and those kind of places. So we were able to secure all of that. Obviously, as I said earlier in my comments, probably half our drivers, or even more than that, as the lockdown progressed, especially after the first few weeks, started trying to find their way back home. Right? Some of them who are in their home state basically they found it easier to go back home, of course. And some of them across states also that things like hitch rides and so on and try to get back home. Right? But we have stayed in touch with many of those drivers. Our partners have stayed in touch with many of those drivers through this period. So there was, I think, the second half of April was particularly, the middle and second half of April was particularly a tough one because it was very unclear exactly how lockdowns will all open up, especially when lockdown 2 happened. It was when 2.0 happened, but since then, obviously, things have started relaxing. There will also be a lot more clarity of interstate vehicle movement has been allowed. It's not been easy. There is still a lot of cases where vehicles get stopped, right? Despite the repeated government clarifications on this. So at this time today, we are marching the fleet which is standard towards the endpoints. So that's well underway, and I think in the coming weeks, we'll be able to ensure that all those vehicles are reaching their destination points. We are, of course, calling back drivers from their home locations or whether they've gone. That's still work in progress, and that is actually what's causing the delay. Fortunately now interstate movement of buses has been allowed, so it becomes a lot easier for drivers who went home to take buses and come back to these places. Right, so that's been a focus, and hopefully in the next few weeks that will get sorted out. The next wave of challenge will be ensuring that drivers who are with the vehicles today stay with the vehicles on the way back. Right, so there is a risk obviously that drivers who are being standard will reach their end point and leave. We are working closely with our partners and the drivers on that. Through the period, we've done several things to support the drivers, both in terms of relief programs, temporary shelters. We've been testing them on doing the temp testing and medical programs for them. So we've done some work with them and also done some other assistance programs. So we are hoping that it will translate into a stronger callback of our driver community. But that's definitely work in progress, Manish. Right? And then as far as return mode is concerned, I think we've seen a lot of people basically passed on COVID surcharges to customers. So I think through this period, we're obviously going to see some level of price inflation. And it's always higher than its market-based stuff as opposed to contracted relationships. We are hoping that we'll be able to mitigate the impact of that. Obviously, we have, while I said that we have, while all our partnerships are pay per use, they're also large partnerships. And our company, we have deep and long partnerships, history with our suppliers. So there is a deeper relationship than just the contract, right? And so we are hoping that we can mobilize those vehicles and also manage, we can mitigate the cost impact. Right? But right now there is inflation and cost increases, and obviously a lot of that's being passed on to customers.
So you are able to pass it on. Is it